Hello, my name is Jeff Lush. Today we're going to go over just a couple very simple filters, sorts, and searches. This can be a huge point of contention when you're trying to create a Power App and use, for example, a SharePoint list, and then you want to find stuff. So we're going to go over how to do that. Today we're going to go over a couple of these examples. These examples are from a book series that I have available that you can Google my name, Jeffrey, Jeffrey Lush, and it's called Elephants Do Not Float in Clouds. And so these are step-by-step instruction manuals that you can download and purchase that gives you all of these screens. It's a visual aid, basically, to kind of walk you through everything. So without further ado, let's jump right into the content today, which is a simple sort and filter. All right. So notice here that we have the columns. I'm identifying everything along the way here so that you can replace these inside of your code. So we're using a sort by columns command here. Now, one thing to remember is that sort by columns is not delegable. So what that means is if you're using a data source, in this example, we're using a SharePoint list. If you're using a list that is going to exceed 2,000 rows, then a list probably isn't the best place for you to have that information. So now you may have that information in a list if maybe you have it split up, like for example, in the application we're building here, in many of these examples, let me see if I can find it. There we go. In many of these examples, this is a Gantt chart, a task management application, but this is the Gantt chart associated with it. All of our active tasks here that you see here at the top with these numbers and counts, they're in a different list, and then the archive tasks right here represented by completed is in a separate list. That way I can have multiple lists doing the function within the application and never exceed that 2,000 row limit. So just be aware of that. So I will bring it up with all the videos, but it's non-delegable. Now for me, it doesn't bother me because I want the depth that I can get, and I don't have the ability to, because my organization that I work for, they don't have the other licenses. So to get into those other licenses can be very expensive. So for most organizations, SharePoint Lists is the data source. Let's build from that. All right, so sorry about that long dissertation on SharePoint Lists. So sort by columns is the command here with a parenthesis. Then we're going to filter. Now what we're doing with the filter there, B, is we're saying, okay, I like the data source, C, priority tasks, and that's where my data is. And now I'm just going to look through that data and get only the data that I want. Now in this example, Gantt switch is not equal to no. Now no is a simple text field. So Gantt switch, is a simple single line text field. Now, why didn't I use a yes/no field, which SharePoint inherently has? The reason why is because I try to make these videos as simple as humanly possible to get the job done. And using a text field and typing out no instead of using a choice field within SharePoint, which complicates both my reporting and my visualization in this app, because there's more steps that need to be taken, I just use a text field because no is pretty easy to type. And furthermore, I can take inside of my app, for example, let's go into my app here. Inside of my app, I can take some drop downs, which I don't have a good example, I'm sorry. I can take some drop downs and put them in my app. So I thought I had some, but you know what a drop down looks like. So I can create a drop down, yes, no drop down, and we'll go over that in another video. Okay, so that's how that works. When we talk about different data structures, SharePoint lists, this is a great example. Here I have an archive list that has 121 tasks in it, okay? And here I have another list over here. This is a different archive list. So when I get close to the 2000, when I get close to the 2000 limit, I can go ahead and separate those into different lists. And so here I have, as you can see, I have two lists, and when I search inside of here, it's just pulling from one to another. View other videos I have on creating an archive manager, because it works really great. Okay, now back to this. So sort by columns, filter, priority task C, which is the name of the list, D, which is the Gantt switch, is equal to no. And here I give you some examples on why I've done that. And then D, the last one, E, the last one here is task follow-up date. That is a date within my list that says when I'm going to take my next action. And so I'm going to sort, I'm going to filter out my list, and then I'm going to comma, and then I'm going to do my task follow-up. And that's as simple as it is to create a very simple filter, sort by columns for your application. Now remember, where is this placed within my application? Let's look at that real quick. This is a list right here. Notice here that we have an example of that text. So we're going to go into search, which we didn't do. We don't have search. We just have filtering here. But here we have search, and we're going to add that without a filter. Okay? So, and then here's your orders as well. I'm ordering it. We did task follow-up date here. Now we're doing modified task order, and we're doing descending, ascending, and ascending. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to make this work. Whoops, I want to show you one last thing inside of here, which we'll do in another video, which is, let's look at this list here. Now, notice this list gets a little more complicated. You see where we're building right here, search, filter, based on this. We're using that search text box again right here, and we're searching on that Gantt switch equals to no. And then we're putting in an and setting up an if clause to go around our selection from this right here, this drop down box. If you notice there in that drop down box, all of those items are coming from this variable within our environment, and then we just push all the information there. So I'll show you that in a moment. Let's not get distracted. That's really all for this simple filter and sort within your Power App.